Chapter 9B. The Hunt. My prey was quite fascinating. I will not lie. I will not lie about how his skill is quite admirable. 1 minute he was there, then he disappeared. I don't know how and I don't know why, but he was quite the foe. I continued to hunt all night, and I couldn't find a single trace of him. Now it is my turn. I walked around for a moment, waiting patiently for the night to begin, for the hunt to begin. And I saw him in his grand spire, his cape flowing in the wind. It was quite a haunting sight. He stood there, almost as if he knew that he was going to win. I was not afraid of him, but I knew that he was probably going to be the victor. He was a greater hunter than I had ever seen before in my life. And I had seen a few hunters, and I managed to kill them all without any problem. But he was different. He was powerful, and he knew exactly what he was doing. And he knew that he could win. The moon rose slowly over the horizon, and I was ready to prove my worth, not only to Genderith, but to my clan and the rest of the world, that I was not some simple-minded monster, to prove to them that I was capable of being even the greatest hunter on the planet. It was very clearly obvious. He was more skilled than any hunter I had ever seen. But he didn't let his ego get in the way of that. I ran deep into the woods, but 30 seconds was up after, well, what felt like an eternity. And I knew the hunt was on. I ran around in the woods, dodging tree at lightning speeds, and trying to find some place to hide. I couldn't smell him. He was in the woods, though. I could hear him. I could feel his presence. He was in the woods, and he was watching me. Every second felt like pure agony. I couldn't find him. If I could just know where he was, then the battle was over, and I would be able to gain victory again. But he wasn't there. I looked around for a while, tried to find anything at all that could lead me to him, so I can gain an upper hand on him. But nothing at all. I heard movement in the bushes and charged towards it. When I arrived, there was nothing there. Maybe it was an animal, maybe it was him. I didn't know. He continued to torment me for hours. He watched me. I could feel his presence. I could feel the truth. He knew he had won, and there was nothing I can do about it but sit there and accept it. The night continued. Every waking moment, I looked. I tried to gain some semblance of control in this situation, but there was nothing. All of it was dark. All of it was cold. There was not much I could do, even in the night. I was a great hunter, don't get me wrong. But this was cruelty. It was either kill your prey or leave them be. Do not let them live a little longer in torment, and do not let them suffer longer than they have to. This hunter knew exactly what he was doing, and he knew it better than any I'd seen before. He was dangerous. I'm not sure what he was, if he was even a hunter. I'm not sure if he was a monster or some horrid abomination sent to be my end. But he was there, and he was very, very real. I continued to wander aimlessly, trying to find some answer or anything at all, but nothing. The air was cold and quiet and very, very still. There was nothing. Not the faintest sound, not the whistle of the wind. Nothing. He continued to torment me, though. I knew he was watching, but I couldn't find the truth. I couldn't find where he was. Every time I saw something in the corner of my eye, I darted towards it, thinking I had finally gained the upper hand. But no, there was nothing there. He tormented me for hours. He knew he had won. He was just waiting for the right time to strike. After a while, I began to strike at the trees aimlessly. I was furious and scared beyond belief. "Where are you?" I yelled as loud as I could. I knew he heard that. "You might as well just come and kill me. Make it easier on both of us." I heard myself say out loud. What was I doing? I was drawing him to me, and I was inviting him to kill me. What was I doing? I don't know. I continued to panic. I heard rustling in the trees and then movement on the ground, and he was here. I knew it for a fact now, but I couldn't pinpoint exactly where he was. Before anything else happened, I heard him yell, "Up here, ugly!" And then when I looked up, I saw him descending down from the sky, almost as if an angel of death, and the end. This next part will be shifting over to Connor's perspective. The battle was well fought. The hunt was quite impressive. He was quite the interesting foe. He never really had a chance to find me, but granted, neither did I. When he yelled, "Where are you?" I immediately knew that that's where exactly he was. I knew that I had him where I wanted him now. I didn't do much other than find him and kill him. I skinned the pelt off of him and brought it back to the head of the camp. Every hunter was sitting there in disbelief. And Genderith, the giant wolf, was shocked. I said, "He was quite a worthy hunt. You should not be ashamed. It was quite impressive. He got me off of his guard for a while." Genderith nodded, and the rest of the wolves went with him. We just sat there for a minute, me and the rest of the hunters. Abby walked up and said, "Was it really that simple of a hunt?" I nodded. "He had me going for a while, I'll give him that. But alas, he gave himself away, and that's what led to his destruction." "Do you really think that that's exactly what he wanted?" "I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to die. Maybe he wanted to kill me. I mean, it was honestly one of those things that you just don't know." "How much do you really know about the werewolves, Connor?" I shook my head. "Not really anything. Remember, I was only born a little while ago, so I'm still fairly new to this world." "Well, one thing you need to know is that they hold a grudge, and they are not going to let go of this one for a while. Not only did you kill a good hunter of them, you hurt Gendrith's pride. And he's going to remember that, Connor. You gotta watch your back from now on." I smiled and said, "Yeah, if he was as simple as this one, then I am not really worried all that more." before we could celebrate, I heard movement. Something's coming, I said as loud as I could to myself. What exactly is coming? I don't know. That's what I'm concerned with. When I turned around, I saw him, Dalen, standing over Sarah. I was ready to draw my blade and finish this nightmare once and for all. But he said, "Come now. Must we really do this? I mean, let us think about it for a minute. You are not going to kill me. Because if you try anything, I will inflict upon you what you do to me upon your sister. Not if I cut off your head," I said. Is that really how you think this is going to play out? I know she's a traitor. I know she's a spy for you. I sat there for a minute. What do you want? Zach said. Simple, really. I wish only for Subject 8 to put these bracers on. You really think I'm going to put on those bracers? I said. You will, if you care about your sister in any capacity. My heart was filled with dread. I knew the truth. I had to put those bracers on. And if I put these bracers on, you can guarantee her survival. Have I ever lied to you, 8? Listen, I may have been the truth, but I never lied. I just simply said something you wanted to hear. And part of it was true. I never outright lied to you. Your sister's survival will be guaranteed. How long that happens to be is up for debate. But I'll probably keep her alive so she can watch you die. Put those bracers on, and that can be guaranteed. I walked over and grabbed the bracers. They were made of what looked like red steel. They were crude in design, with markings all over it that I didn't understand. I put one on, and they clamped down to my skin, almost as if it was now a part of my arm. It didn't hurt all that much, and then I put the other one on. I said, "Happy?" "Not yet. By the name of Dalen, I command you to kneel." I sat there for a minute and said, "Why would I begin to..." And before I could finish that sentence, a great sharp pain filled my wrist. You see, 8, what those bracers do is rather simple. If I say something, and I command you to do something, then you have to do it. Otherwise, they will pinch and pinch and pinch until they get down to your bone. At that point, you'll bleed out and die. My arms began to feel like they were on fire, and I could feel nothing else in my hands. I began to kneel slowly, and the pain stopped. Good. Now, isn't that what a good dog does from time to time? I was ready to draw my blade again, not only to kill him for Sarah, but to kill him for this pain he brought upon me. Now, in the name of Dalen, I command you to go and retrieve my journal. I sat there, and I nodded. I knew there was no point in fighting it, because I tried as hard as I could to fight the kneeling, but I had no choice. I walked back to Huntsman's Keep, retrieved the journal, I stared at it for a minute, then the pinching began. I knew I was only running out of time, daydreaming, and I walked back to where we had met. I threw it to Dalen, said, "There. Happy? Let's get this over with. Any damage done to my journal, I will do unto your sister." "What do you mean?" "For example," he went through a few pages of the book and found a rip in one of the pages. "A rip, huh? Interesting." Then turned to Sarah and punched her square in the face. I reached for my blade and he said, remember, whatever damage you do to me, I will do upon her." He continued to go through the pages. "This page is bent." Walked over to Sarah and broke her arm. She was gagged, so I couldn't tell if she was trying to tell me something. But her eyes could tell me an entire story. What have I done? I've only increased her suffering. What have I done? I asked myself multiple times during this entire event. This page has a little bit of liquid on it. And then took her hand and bent it in another direction. All I heard was my sister's screams. The muffled screams of pain that I brought upon her. Let's see, what else can we find in this journal? See if we can find anything fascinating. Another torn page. He then punched Sarah again. Blood was dripping from her head now. Not only her nose, but partly of her head. Her forehead had gained a gash. I sat there for a minute. I hated him with every fiber of my being. I hated him. I wanted to see him suffer for every crime he had ever committed. Even the pettiest of things I wanted him to suffer for. I didn't care. I wanted vengeance, and I was going to get it no matter what. He continued to go through the book, found another torn page, and then punched her again. Every time she was hurt, I could feel a little bit of my hope dying. Feel a little bit of something in my chest just being destroyed. It wasn't a good feeling. It wasn't one I was proud of, but it was there. I just sat there for what felt like hours, when in actuality it was only a few minutes. Then he said, "Other than those incidences, well, it is fine." "Good. Now hand her over," I said. "Oh, is that really how you think this is working?" "I never said anything about handing her over. I just said it'd guarantee her survival." Then I saw Kyle charge at him with his axe. Said, "Dalen, you will die!" But before he could even make a swing, he vanished alongside Sarah. There was nothing but a puddle of blood. He screamed into the sky. "We were so close. We could have killed him." "No, we couldn't have. Not without injuring Sarah." Rage began to fill my heart. I was ready to make him pay. And I was going to help the hunters with that process. I ran back into Huntsman's Keep and hit my sword against an anvil as hard as I could, making a loud clinging noise throughout all of Huntsman's Keep. I had gained everyone's attention including Zach, Sam, and Abby's. I yelled, "Hunters! This day, Dalen has decided to grace our presence. He has tried to ruin us again and again and again, and he will continue to try and fail as many times as it takes. But not today. Not today. Today spells the end of Dalen. We are done running. We are done hiding from this abomination. I know you all hate me for breathing air the wrong way, but this is all we have. We're few, but we have the strongest hearts of them all. I am tired of this. I am tired of running around in a nightmare, waiting for someone to wake me up. I'm going to make all of us wake up for once in our lives. I'm going to have us be the reason that Dalen dies today. Or not today, in a few weeks. For in 3 days, we march on Morlith Castle. And then we make him pay for everything he's ever done. Every child he's ever hurt. Every person he's ever killed. We will make him pay for it. Now, I know none of you trust me enough to lead you. That's why I'm not leading you. I ask all hunters today, do you want to see Dalen die? A few stood up. None of them were very enthused by it. Huh. So this is the brave hunters' order. The hunters who are not powerful enough to kill a foe that bested them in combat a while back. This is the bravery I see. I see nothing but cowards waiting for Dalen to make the next move. But what I say, let's go and cut him off and make the move ourselves. For you see, hunters, we have hid in the dark for far too long. We have hid against our enemies for far too long. But not today. Today we finally come back. Today we finally prove to the world we're not afraid of anything. We're not afraid of the dark. We are not afraid of the monsters. And we are not afraid of him. Today, I tell you now, more than ever, that we are going to go in and cut Dalen down 100-fold. And I will not lie to you, we will all probably die in the process. But this will show the world that there is someone who is going to oppose him. And if we die, then we die with bravery, rather than waiting for him to kill us all. I'd rather die knowing full well that I stood up against an abomination of nature. I'd rather die knowing full well that I tried and fought and died bravely. What say you, hunters? More began to stand, but it wasn't enough to convince the rest. Then I said, very well. For those of you who are brave, and for those of you who wish to actually contribute, we will be marching in a few days. And then we will end this nightmare once and for all. I ask you one last time, hunters. Who is ready to watch this abomination die? Who is ready to make the world a safer place for us as hunters and as humans? More began to stand. And more. And more, until the rest of the hunters' order was standing proudly by my side. Let's go and kill us an abomination! We sat there and cheered. I went over to Zach and said, that is how you inspire the troops. You are aware, right, that we can't do that. What do you mean? We don't have the forces. Maybe there's, 500 here? We can't win this fight. Then send word to the other orders. We're going to win this war. I don't care how long or how many lives are lost. We are winning this fight. One way or another. He nodded. said, "Fine, we'll win this war. But how are we going to go about it?" he asked. Dalen thinks he has this thought out. He thinks he knows us better than we know ourselves. It's time to prove him wrong.